Another day, another sleigh. I really don't know if I want to keep starting my One Piece reviews with that because things are not feeling very sleigh right now. Things are feeling very not sleigh. I finished the Sabaody arc of One Piece and I have got a lot of things to say. This arc was extremely heavy, both in the overall plot and the themes that we explore, which are themes that we have seen before that we continue to explore because obviously the world government is a huge player in this story. And the players that we're introduced to are really fucking scary. We meet Kizaru, who is one of the admirals of the Navy. We see Kuma again, and we see his cyborg twins, that's kind of what I want to call them right now, who are absolutely fucking insane. We meet the most offensive man in the world, who literally drove me up a wall with him saying that many times. And we are delivered a very brutal defeat, which we have not experienced yet. So things are looking not great. We start off this arc with meeting Kami and Hachi. We rescue Hachi from Duval's crew. We meet Duval. We figure out that Duval is someone who looks exactly like Sanji's wanted poster. That was very comical, and I think that was a good little breather before you were thrown into an absolute shit show. Then we get to the Sabaody archipelago, which is essentially these tiny little islands that aren't really islands because there isn't a magnetic force of this essential. The whole infrastructure confused me a little bit. As soon as we got there, I was like, oh my god, this is such a pretty place, like how cool. And I remember seeing in my chat someone say famous last words, and you are so right, because this is a place where the world government and the Navy have a heavy presence, and this is a place where slavery and human trafficking is legal and sanctioned by the government. What the fuck? We learn very quickly about the existence of the celestial dragons, which are basically people that are descendants of the first people in the world government. So they're Nepo babies because their granddaddies decided to make a world government after this 100-year void that we still don't have answers on. And they think they are fucking gods who deserve everything and who are allowed to have slaves and do whatever they fucking want because no one would dare touch them because the equivalent of a buster call would happen if they were, which I think is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Everything that we keep exploring in this is very unsettling, but unfortunately not shocking, because you can easily tell that Oda, all he had to do was look at history, look at what's going on in the world around him, and take inspiration from that. Because unfortunately, these are things that have happened in our history. These are things that continue to happen in our history. These are things and injustices that we see in today's government, and that is very sad, unsettling, but not surprising. But then we learn that Kami has been kidnapped by traffickers, and our crew just immediately gets into action, and I love that about them. It just continues to show that they have such good morals, and they will always protect those around them as best as they can. Like, once you are their friend, you are their friend, and you will always be protected. And the scene where Hachi was apologizing and saying that all he wanted to do was help them, and he was sorry for causing so much trouble, and the fact that Luffy was just like, why are you apologizing? You're our friend. I'm going to take care of you, was just beautiful, and like continues to show me that Luffy will always be the one to root for. Then we get dropped into an absolute shit show. We get to the auction house, which, yes, the world government knows about and pretends not to because it is basically sanctioned by them. Crew is trying to get Kami back, even in the legal way, which is essentially to purchase her, which I thought was fucking insane, but I understood why they did it that way and why they were trying to get her back that way in order to not draw attention to themselves and not create another fight with the government, because they just got over one that was very overwhelming. Fortunately, our resident man-child, Sir Charlos, who's obsessed with his fucking boogers, wanted to buy her, and so things start to go downhill very quickly. But I will say, Luffy punching him is one of the best scenes that I have ever read. Like, Luffy's punches of villains have been incredible. This one, I think, was the most deserved, and it will live rent-free in my mind. Like, it was so good. My reaction to it was so fun. I am going to react to it in the anime later because I just need to see that. And oh god, I just loved it. I will say, one of the really, really cool parts of this arc was meeting the Supernova rookies and finally meeting Law. I immediately went and I looked at the scene in the anime because my chat let me know that his VA is also Levi's VA, and I love Levi's VA, so that was very, very enjoyable for me. And to see all of their powers was really, really cool, and to kind of see who is also on this journey that Luffy and Straw Hats are. And then seeing Luffy, Kid, and Law fight against the Navy was very fun. To kind of get to experience all of their devil fruits together was a very enjoyable fight, and it makes me excited for what's to come. I hope that we see them fight together again in the future, because I think that would just be very, very cool. And I cannot make this video without talking about Rayleigh. Oh my god, his introduction was so fucking cool. His immediate walkout and making everyone pass out with his incredibly powerful hotkey was just beautiful. And then to finally see someone that was part of Roger's crew and to get some answers on what happened during their voyage was really, really cool. And I love that I was right about Crocus being a part of their crew, even if it was just for a little short while. I was very excited to get that confirmed. And I loved Luffy being like, don't you dare tell me anything about the One Piece. I will never go on a voyage again if you tell me. Like, that was very cool. And it just really solidified Luffy as my favorite character, which is not shocking because I think Luffy is everyone's favorite character. And then the end of this arc was probably the most distressful thing that I have ever read, because things just did not end up well. And that's the first time that I've experienced that with One Piece. Right now, I am theorizing that Kuma sending them away was actually trying to help them. Now, why do I think that? I have literally nothing to back me up other than my own mind trying to gaslight me that things are okay and that they didn't go somewhere completely separated, or I don't know. I really am hoping that Kuma is secretly a good person, because one thing that I do remember is Kizaru saying, what is Kuma doing here? They were supposed to all meet Navy headquarters. He's not supposed to be here. So that was my one hint of, okay, he's not supposed to be here, so what is he doing here? And now he sent them away, and he said something along the lines of, if it doesn't concern the government, I don't have to explain my actions. And so yeah, I'm hoping that things are going to be decently okay, because if they're not, I'm going to lose my mind. Thoughts, I do think that this was a brilliant, brilliant arc. I think it was so impactful. I think it was so well done. The world building was fucking crazy. The more info that we're getting on the world government and other players here was very, very well done, even though it was so stressful to read. But unfortunately, I think that's, what we want in a fictional world. We don't want things to always be happy and fun. Like, we want intrigue. We want things to sometimes go bad, even though it's so very stressful to read. But I do think that this is probably one of my favorite arcs that I have read, just because it is so, so well done. The things that went well went really, really well. The things that went bad went really, really bad. And I think it does a really good job of setting up this new world that we're going into and just how utterly unprepared we are for it. So I know that I was a little bit all over the place with this one. I did not actively take notes while I was reading it because I read it on stream last night. So I will do a better job of doing that whenever I read something on stream, just because I do want to put my best foot forward with these reviews. They are so fun to make. I love talking with you all. So apologies for this one being a little everywhere and I didn't catch everything that I probably could have. But I'm excited to keep going. I need some answers, right now. So yeah, I will see you when I see you. Bye! I need someone to beat the living shit out of Blackbeard right now, because I know it in my heart that he turned in Ace. It hasn't been confirmed to me, but I know it in my heart that that is why Ace isn't impaled down right now. And this panel fucking destroyed me last night when I read it. And this panel fucking obliterated me. And I am just so utterly upset about what's about to happen, and I thought I had so much time, but the fact that we have 6 days is horrendous, and I am so fucking upset, and I fucking hate Blackbeard. I don't care that he's got his goals. I don't give a shit. I don't like him as a character. I don't. Another day, another sleigh. I finished the Amazon Lily arc of One Piece, and I have a lot of things to say, so let's talk about it. At first, I really didn't know what I was going to get from this arc because obviously we're going into this one with our Straw Hats separated for the first time ever, and things are just feeling very unsettling, upsetting, and just overall not happy. We start off with Luffy alone on this island of just women, which the comparison to Marvel's Amazonians was really cool to see, and we actually get some pretty wonderful character work and some questions answered. We start with this theme of loss that we first kind of encountered in Long Ring Long Land in regards to the question of what would happen if Luffy lost his crew? What would happen if he was left alone to navigate this world? Because this arc, as we know, comes immediately after a brutal defeat in Sabaody Archipelago. And so essentially it kind of paints this question in front of us of, let's see who Luffy is now that he's experienced the Grand Line. Let's see who he is without having his crew to balance him out a little bit. And it's not shocking that the answer is the fact that he is still a wonderful, compassionate, and kind human being. And after spending the last 500-ish chapters meeting all kinds of pirates, we can really, really appreciate who Luffy is and the fact that this world has not changed him at all. He has not become ruthless or mean or morally unjust or any of that, and truly he just continues to cement himself as a wonderful, wonderful character. You know, my one criticism of this is Boa's character and the initial scene of, you know, them meeting a man. And yes, I totally understand that cultures are different. I can still criticize that because I do think that 17 years old is still a child and that there are things that should not be portrayed in media regardless of cultural differences, because I think we know better. But I know that this came out a long time ago, so I'm not going to partake in any more discussions about that because it seems that I ruffled some feathers with that. Then we meet Boa Hancock, a character that I am still having a very hard time with because obviously her first introduction, she kicks a kitten out of the way and I was like, okay, animal cruelty from a character that is seemingly important. Not the greatest introduction. I can understand that her general rudeness and arrogance is a coping mechanism and also a survivalist behavior that doesn't really make me like her anymore. Her trauma does connect us all the way to Arlong Park, and it was very, very sad to learn what that sign on her back was, and the fact that we keep learning about more slavery in this world. That is very, very, very upsetting, and I hate that she had to experience that, but I am still having a very, very hard time reconciling that with her current character. And that is only made worse by this whole crush on Luffy. Truly not something that I am enjoying because she is a full-ass adult. And yes, I understand this whole theme of Luffy is the first person to kind of really see Boa and be kind to her. And yes, but again, I don't think that this is a story that is ever going to have any romance really centered in it. And I do think that that is a little bit unnecessary. It could have just been a respect thing. So yeah, that's something that I don't think I'm ever going to enjoy. Seeing Luffy's compassion towards the Amazonians here was incredible, and seeing how he covered the sisters' mark because he knew that they would rather die than let anyone see that was incredible. It kind of reflected back to Nami's story where he didn't need to know anything. He just knew how they felt about this, and that was enough for him to act on it. And then we get to see Luffy continue to make connections with people that I hope will come into play later. I think he is just that kind of person that continues to make an impact on people, and I think these impacts and connections that he's making are all going to make their way back to the story somehow. I don't know how, but I'm just continuing to see that theme of returning characters and people that Luffy's made an impact on, and I'm excited for these Amazonians to hopefully at one point in time come and help Luffy in some way. We see Luffy use Haki again. We saw it for the first time in Sabaody where he used it on the bull, and to have everyone around him kind of acknowledge the fact that it is this, I think they call it a supreme Haki. That I might be wrong on that name. I'm blanking on it because I didn't take a note specifically of what the name was. But to have everyone kind of say that it's this super powerful form of hockey that not everyone can use was so fucking cool, and I'm so excited to see where that goes. The end of this arc was very emotionally taxing, seeing Luffy find out about Ace and his reaction of "that's my big brother." It just absolutely broke me down, because obviously we saw at the end of Thriller Bark where he was like, Ace would never want me to come to his rescue, you know, he is strong and he's got this. And I think Luffy reacting that way kind of shows that he knows that this is serious and something that Ace cannot handle on his own. And to see him kind of break down and ask Boa for assistance was just very, very emotional. And while I still may be grappling with this whole Boa character and her crush on Luffy, I am so thankful that he was able to make this connection and that he had someone help him get into Impel Down to try and save his brother. Overall, another short arc that is just very different from what we've experienced. Obviously, we have not experienced the Straw Hats separated since they came together, and to not know what is happening to them and the fact that they are potentially not going to be there with Luffy to try and save Ace is very, very stressful, and I am just stressed, honestly, truly. So, if you made it this far, thank you. Yeah, bye. Another day, another sleigh to my damn fucking emotions. I know it's not another day, but I finished the Impel Down arc of One Piece, and boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to tell you. Do you guys remember when I said that the race against time structure really stressed me out in Eni's lobby? This was worse. This shit took fucking years off my lifespan. Pun intended. We enter this prison that is very, very obviously a place that is meant to stomp out any hope of life whatsoever. And while it does have its comedic moments because it's One Piece, so obviously it's going to have that, it is essentially each level is a test for Luffy and a question of how far are you willing to go for one of your loved ones. From the moment Luffy enters this prison, the tone of the story has completely shifted in my eyes. While there have been a lot of really, really dark moments and things have been very, very urgent, to me, this really feels like the darkest, most urgent, most stressful story that we have gotten. The addition of the countdown to Ace's execution is probably one of the best things that I have seen Oda add to this, because it had me visibly stressed. Like, I might book an appointment with my therapist soon because of this fucking arc. Because in reality, it really just makes it so clear how pressed for time we are, and the pressure never lets up. One of the best parts of the story, though, is how Oda went about the addition of the new Kama Land. Considering that this was written in, again, early to mid 2000s, I think, the way that he went about representation in this one was actually very, very tactful and respectful, in my opinion. They weren't the butt of a joke, they weren't an afterthought, they were actually very, very crucial to the storyline, and I hope that these are characters that we will continue to see, because I absolutely loved Ivankov and all of the people from New Kama. Just wonderful, wonderful additions, and I love to see that even in this place that is meant to be so negative, that there was just a little pocket of happiness and hope, and the fact that it was rooted in freedom of expression and wonderful representation of sexuality and choosing who you are based off of what you feel inside. That was very, very well done, and I applaud Oda for doing this in a time where this sort of addition to stories was not common. I really feel like their presence added so much world building, because we got some information on the revolutionaries and also added another aspect of this found family trope that we continue to explore. And it is really, really not lost to me that the most progressive character that we have seen so far is also a key player in the revolutionaries. Incredible. Then we also get the return of so many villains that we have encountered in the past, people that I would have never thought that I would be rooting for, and here I am praying and hoping to God that they will make it out of this fucking prison, because I need them to be there for Luffy, because Luffy does not have his found family right now and he needs all of the help that he can get. I can't have this review and not spend a good amount of chunk on it talking about Bon Clay, Bon Chan, my king, my wonderful, wonderful, wonderful fucking king. He truly was such a star this arc, such a breakout star. His utter loyalty to Luffy went so far beyond anything that we've experienced so far, and no, that is not an attack on any of the Straw Hats. I adore them forever. It is just, I'm just trying to glaze Montclair right now, because truly we have not seen this level of devotion to another character from anyone, and that's okay. But it is just so important to note that it is from someone that we wouldn't have expected it from. His actions fully impact the future of Luffy and the outcome of this arc. His sacrifice is one that I will never forget. I was a puddle of tears when him and Luffy were on the snail phone together, and I love Bonchan. Truly, truly such a wonderful character. So even though Impel Down is this stressful, just utterly consuming arc, it does have its comedic moments, and I think the addition of Mr. 3 and Buggy was really, really well done, and it added some very much needed moments of relief and comedic sense. It was a good way to balance out how stressful this arc was. But at the same time, it also was progressing the plot, because what we see from this arc is that the addition of every single villain that we meet is crucial to the escape. When we finally reach the lower level where Ace is supposed to be held and we see that we missed him by fucking seconds, things start to feel like unnaturally overwhelming. Like I really was just, I was being Usopp, I was so pessimistic. I was like, fuck, we just fucking wasted all of this time and it was for nothing. And we meet Jinbei, whose appearance was so incredible, and finding out that he was a warlord who really wanted to take no part in this war really shows his honor and how amazing of a character he is, and I really hope that he continues to play a big part in seeing his loyalty to Ace and how willing he was to help Luffy was incredible, because again, like I mentioned, Luffy needs all the help he can get right now, because this is a big feat that he is trying to accomplish. I don't know, is it dumb to say that I kind of wish he joins Luffy? He doesn't really seem like someone who has aspirations to be king of the pirates, and he's not a warlord anymore, so maybe? Is that wishful thinking? I don't know, he just seems really great, and I would love for him to join us. And we get Crocodile's return, which kind of complicates things, but kind of doesn't. It's a, again, much needed addition to our current little crew. His motives for helping Luffy may not be good. They're a good show of how fluid alliances are in One Piece, and all comes together when they finally escape Impel Down, because we see that everyone's contributions are absolutely needed right now. And I will say it again, I fucking hate Blackbeard. I despise him. Nothing about him is good. I don't think I will ever like him, and I think I have added someone to my list of characters that I absolutely fucking hate, and that is, what was his name? Shiryu, the warden that was also down in Impel Down, because he was basically a fucking sadist who just wanted to beat people up and kill them for no reason. Absolutely despise him. Despise him. Those are my final thoughts on Impel Down. I really, really enjoyed it, even though it kind of feels like the Water 7 to Enies Lobby in regards to it's not a completed arc. Like, we still have things to accomplish, so I feel like I'm just at that halfway point. It's like intermission right now. Essentially, this whole thing really stressed me out, and I am fearing for my mental health as I head into finishing Marineford. So I will see you soon. No promises on when I will upload my review of Marineford, because I am stressed and anxious and every other negative verb you could say. So, bye!